Give us on. Right, Mr. Don. Just like to start with your childhood. Were you born in Limerick?
I was born in Fiesesfield in Limerick.
Where's that?
Fiesesfield.
Fiesesfield.
V-I-Z-E-S.
Right, never heard of that. Now, where's that?
Up near St. Theodore's Church.
Right.
It's called Fies's Court now. It's still there. There's still 6 of the old houses there now, you know.
Right.
The one I was born was number 7. That's still there now.
Right. Funnily enough, a friend of mine.
The 2 lads they were born just across the road from me, about 20 years across the road. The corpses, you know.
Right. So it would be it is an old part of Limerick, isn't it? Because it is an old part of Limerick indeed. So were you from a big family?
There was 7 of us in the family.
Right.
I'm 75 now. I'll be 76 in August, you know.
Oh, you're looking very fresh, isn't it?
There were 7 of us in the family. My father worked in ranks.
Right.
His 2 sisters worked in ranks.
Right.
2 brothers worked in ranks, you know.
Right. So your father would have been there right from...
Oh, he would, yeah.
From the early 1920s probably, or?
Well, the ranks wasn't built until 1940.
1940, right.
There were 2 flour mills in Limerick at the time. Roger Street in Newtown Perry.
Right.
So when ranks, they amalgamated the 2 flour mills down to the Dock Road, you know. And up to the present day, up to the day it closed now, still the 2 types of people, you know, he's from Roger Street, they still kind of hang on, he's Roger Street, he's Newtown Perry, you know what I mean?
I see, you know? So when it joined together, they still had their own identity. That's interesting, that's very interesting.
Anyway, you know.
So your father would have started there, he would have been a young man himself when he started there?
Oh, he would have been, I was young fella, that's 17 I started, you know.
You started yourself at 17,
yeah.
So that would have been about 1955, 1954? 52, was it that early? Right,
yeah.
Right.
1952, got into 53, that's when I started.
Right, well that's very interesting, because I had put down for my project, I thought you were 70, I was given the information you were 70, and you look very well for 75, so I went on the basis that you started around 16 or 17, and I took my paper for 1970 or 1957, yeah. So you just got me there a little bit, but that's fine, so 1952, so that must have been 52, 53, that must have been a very tough time in Limerick.
Oh, it really was now, you know. I mean, all the lads and all my pals, they went to England. Everyone did in the 50s, you know. Every one of my pals that had been in England. I never had to leave because it was in ranks, you know.
Which was a great bonus, yeah.
So I never really been with the bad times. We had only 9 shillings 11 pence now a day, you know.
But that was, sorry?
Daily buys, 9 shillings and 11 pence, you know.
9 shillings and 11 pence.
20 shillings in a pound at the time. It was really bad money.
So the very first day you started, I mean, you knew your dad worked there, so did you know what you were going to go into? What kind of...
I hadn't a clue, I hadn't a clue. I just went into the warehouse, you know, but I had to get on to Mr. Mercer. You might have heard of Mr. Mercer.
Yeah, I've heard of Mr. Mercer.
I had to get on to him. I was working in the dredger in the docks, you know, an old bucket dredger. I had to get a half day off to go down at an interview with Mr. Mercer. And I had to read the Financial Times. And the reason I know it was a pink paper, you know.
That's right.
And I read a paragraph out of the Financial Times. You swear I was going to become, and I never done a bit of clerical work in my life, only pushing a car and packing flour and that, you know.
Right.
But that was the scene at the time.
Yeah. So you were very good. So you were happy enough with that. You weren't.
I was, of course, you know. But I knew that got in there. I knew my father and everyone went through the ranks. Yeah. Everyone made friends here, you know. That's Perios, and you know you couldn't go wrong, you know.
So you would go down. You go down, even though you were working in an office. You still go down and see. You could go down and see the factory. You go down on a regular. Would you be going down on a?
I could, of course. No, but I worked in the warehouse, you know.
Right.
Loading out bags. That's where I worked first, you know.
Right.
And you'd go into the mill. I worked in the mill afterwards. Right. I worked in the dryer house. I worked there. Flexibility came in 1960s. You had to work where you would put, you know.
Okay.
You could do anyone's job eventually. Like.
So say, as you start in the warehouse, so how many men would have been in the warehouse roughly?
Oh God, I don't it to be
50, 60?
There'd be, during the wheat season, there'd be 80 maybe, you know what I mean?
Right.
But the casual
labour was brought in for we got busy. Right,
I see. All over the place, especially in the drying of the wheat, you know, the Irish wheat.
Right.
That was very busy altogether.
So if the ships will come in with the wheat, or the trucks will come in with the wheat, and then you start the process of in the warehouse.
That's right. The Irish wheat don't come in by trucks, you know, but the farm wheat will come in by the docks, you know.
Right.
and they'd be alive. But the Irish wheat came in by trucks. Be 24-hour shifts to be there all night unloading the Irish wheat, you know.
Right, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So there was, so ranks actually had 24-hour shift when it was busy.
All the drivers would be there all day, you know.
Right.
And eventually I became a dryer man.
Now, what's the dryer man?
Dryer man, drying the Irish wheat, you know.
Right, and how would you go about that?
Not would be dryers, like all fans and motors, you know.
Right.
All electrical fans and things, dry the wheat slowly but surely, you know.
Okay, and how long would that usually take?
Because they couldn't make the Irish flour wasn't that good at all, you know.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Most Australian flour, Manitoba, you know, Australian flour, the Irish wheat was very damp. Couldn't make a loaf of bread out of all Irish wheat now, you know.
Right.
They're all Irish loaf. They had to be mixed with foreign wheats, you know.
Right. And how long would it take to dry, roughly?
That's about, well, as it passed through it about, as was an hour, it'd be.
Oh no, right.
But it's moving the whole time.
But moving the whole time, I see. Right,
you know.
I see.
But through the whole full dry now, it was an hour and a half.
Right.
You come out the bottom dry, you know.
Very good.
Semi-dry, we often semi-dry now, they're too busy, we have to go back through the dryers again to dry it, you know.
Right, I see, very good.
Yeah.
So you were said, sorry, earlier on you said your first wage was, what was it, for your first wage?
9 shillings and 11 pence.
9 shillings and 11 pence, right.
And that was... 11 shillings, on the Monday you had to pay a stamp.
Right.
9 and 11, I think it was about 11 shillings a day then after that. Right. And now 20 shillings in a pound, you know, at the time.
So it wasn't too bad, I suppose.
It
wasn't too bad, yeah.
I wouldn't have said that otherwise, you know.
Yeah, and for a single man, you were at that time, you were young, and you know, it was good. It wasn't bad money. It wasn't bad money.
You were a daily buy till you were 25, you know,
right,
still a buy, you know.
Yeah.
You recognise it a buy, you know, even though you're a man to all intents and purposes.
Oh, I know, John, Mr. Don, very good. I was going to ask you, so you worked Monday to Friday. Was it Monday to Friday then?
Monday to Friday,
right.
Well, it was Saturday, Monday to Saturday.
Monday to Saturday, right.
Week, yeah.
6-day week, okay, yeah. I see. So you'd have the Sunday off. Sunday off.
Sunday off, yeah.
Right, and your usual work time was between, you start in the morning at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, right.
Until 5:30.
Until 5:30.
That was the full shift. We all often have to load at night, you'd be on overtime, you know.
Right.
After 5:30 it was overtime. We were loading trucks and loading lorries now, you know.
Right. And you were quite happy to do overtime, you didn't mind doing overtime?
I didn't mind it, no.
And it was extra money, of course, was indeed, very good. And I've heard that in ranks it wasn't just men working there, eventually there was women working there as well?
Oh, but that's Albert now, he became the foreman, you know.
You were telling me that earlier, how did that come about?
The small packs. They started packing in smaller packs,
right.
£1 and £2 of flour, you know.
Of flour, right.
That never prevailed up to then.
Right.
It was 10 stone bags or 8 stone bags, you know.
Right.
But then they went to call the small packing department, you know.
Right.
All the girls packed it all automatic.
So the women were brought in for that then, in for that, I see, right. So did that change the atmosphere?
They had been there before to clean the bags.
Right.
You know the flour bags.
The big flour bags, the big old flour bags, And
they cleaned it. There was about 10 of them there at that time, you know.
Right.
And their aunt now, she was 480.
Right.
Little corpus, you know. So the corpuses were very, very got in ranks, you know.
Right.
If you mention his name now, they're
So originally there was only about, maybe there was only about 10 women, and then when they brought the small bag, as you said, were brought in, they brought in a lot more women.
They did about 40 minutes finished.
Right.
Packing all the time,
right.
Very fast.
So did that bring a change to the factory? Was that nice to have women around during the...
Well, it was nice for me. I was 18 years of age. You know.
Fair enough.
Very interesting it was.
Fair enough. So to go on from that then, I mean, talk about the work experience, but I mean, obviously you had time off as well. So what did you used to do in when you were a young man, 17, 18? I mean, were you into sports? Were you into...
I was into drinking a pint actually. You know.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. So you were...
I did a lot of judo then. I did.
Really? Right,
judo,
interesting. Right.
And in Stella Maris, you know, the man in the factory, Tommy Harvey, and he was into judo, so I joined the club with him, you know.
Very good.
It was very interesting, you know.
Oh yeah, keep yourself fit. And a bit of snooker as well, you were saying?
Well, I had played snooker since I was 9 years of age, you know.
Right, good man.
Billiards at the time. Snooker at the time. And billiards.
Right.
Until the pool, I'm still playing pool. If you like, then we'll play a game after this.
Okay, we'll go for a game of pool, no problem. That's very interesting. What about, would you go say to the cinema at any time or anything like that? Would you go dances? You would, yeah?
Oh yeah, dances. So, geez, I live for the dances, you know.
Right. What were the dances like in those days?
Oh, it was fantastic, you know. St. John's, Stella, dances, you know.
Where's the Stella now? The Stella would have been...
Stella would have been in Rotor Street then.
Right, okay, right.
St Mary's was out in St Mary Street, you know.
Right.
Tozzies it was called.
Right.
Tozzies dance hall. Well, I lived for the dances every morning, going out to walk on a bike now. We were waiting for the dance that night, you know. How wasn't the bikes in the dock road? Bikes, as far as you could see, you know.
Right.
All the dockers and the cement factory and you know the
that's right on the dock road indeed, yeah. But in those days, of course, very few cars compared to what there is now. Yeah, it was all bikes.
And then it was horses and ranks before that my time, but it was lorries when I came in.
The lorries that started coming.
Had been there. All this terrible changes, you know. You know.
Sorry, going back to the dances for a minute. What kind of music would have been in the ballrooms in those days?
Tangas and rock and roll came into the scene, you know.
Right, I was just thinking that it was around the time rock and roll was coming in. Did it?
Bill Haley was my first. Bill Haley in the Comets, you know.
Right.
Jiving, you know, it was fantastic.
Right.
Up to then it was all tangas and foxtrots.
Right. So there was a change as you were growing up. There was the
different scene altogether now. You had to be dancing in those days, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Not like now, just shuffling around the place, you know. He was a very good dancer, you know. I used to get on well with the women, I needn't tell you. And the women that said one side there was the floor, you know, all it.
That's right, you know, I've heard about that before, yeah.
And about like cattle girls, when you think of it like that afterwards.
Very good.
And the all-male band in it, during the night, and they'd make you a lady's choice.
Right.
One dance in the night, ladies' choice.
Right, and the ladies could come over and pick over they wanted. Right, very good.
You hope you wouldn't be picked by the right girl and didn't tell you because you had to return the dance afterwards, you know.
Right.
You were supposed to return the dance, ladies' choice.
I see.
So we didn't get a nice girl, you weren't very happy about it, but that's the way it went.
And what about, for instance, you were saying you also, the cinemas in those days in Limerick, there was a lot more cinemas, I know, wasn't there?
There was all,
yeah.
Wasn't that like the Carlton,
the Savoy, obviously the big one, yeah.
Oh, the Savoy was a fantastic cinema. Oh, there was lots of Coliseum. There must have Tom in the Tivoli, you know.
That's right. I've heard of the Tom Tivoli. I remember even I grew up in Limerick, and I'm not as young as I look. I remember even the Savoy before it closed down. But I was amazed looking at the articles in the papers that how many cinemas there was, 7 or 8 cinemas around in Limerick.
The Tom in the Tivoli, the first time it was Savoy.
Right.
There was the Royal, the Carlton,
the
Coliseum.
Very good.
And there was cinemas.
Where was the Coliseum? No, Coliseum was up in
Coliseum was just on O'Connell Street.
Stranded Reef, right, where the bell table was, right.
The bell table was
actually, was it? Right. Because I'd heard the name before, but I'm never sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So I first saw King Kong in 1953.
Very good, 1953, right. And it would have been, of course, I mean, in a way it would have been great because there would have been different films on at each venue, so you could go maybe twice a week if you wanted to. The money, of course, yeah. It was very interesting. Of course, there was no TV in those days.
No, there was no. But then I'd been the Royal, I'd been the Savoy, and in the queue, you might have the price of yourself and your girlfriend, and all of a sudden then you'd be sent balcony tickets only. You'd have to go back out again, you know. That's some great times.
Very good. Bring you into the 60s then. Say you're a bit older. Say you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're very happy in ranks at that stage, and you're still single man.
I love ranks. No, I was married when I was 23.
Oh, 23, right.
Yeah, married in 58.
Right, you're married quite young.
I'm married about 52 years now, nearly.
Very good, very congratulations. Yeah. Would that have been kind of in those days? Would that have been around the kind of the?
I wouldn't have. A lot of my pals would have married 20. You know, I'm 21.
Right,
you
even
know,
younger, right?
I got away with mother. You know?
So 23 was considered kind of, it was old enough in those days.
It was the age to be
around the age, right? Yeah.
But there was a lot of them married younger than that.
Right,
you know?
right.
Then you had babies straight away, like, you know.
Right.
God would provide kind of a thing, you know.
Your wife wasn't working in ranks, was she?
She wasn't.
She wasn't. No, right.
She worked in Mullally's.
Right. The shop, wasn't it? Mullally's shop. I do know the shop. I remember
Bedford Row.
I do remember the shop in Mullally's. I do indeed. Yeah,
that's the only job here.
Right.
But after we were married, she worked in Analog for a while. Then, you know.
Right.
When ranks closed down in 1983.
Right. And you were there right till the end, weren't you? You were there right till the end, right? And what was it like as you knew, say back in when did you first start noticing that maybe things weren't going as well as they should have?
It was about 5 years before it closed.
Right.
You could see it was on the way, you know. It was a setup now, you know. It was a setup.
Yeah.
Ranks Hovers McDoodle in ran the whole show. You couldn't even get a sweeping brush at that time because you had to afford England, you know.
Right.
But then they made out that we were a limited company. They had nothing got to do with us, you know.
Right, so they were washing their hands really.
You probably had all this at times.
That's very interesting. And was there unions and ranks?
Oh, there was. The union was good, like, you know, but it just hadn't. It wasn't good enough, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
It was set up by the bosses in England, you know. Yeah. They thought they had nothing to do. We could even make the flour cheaper in England, obviously, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Because banks were badly neglected.
Yeah.
The mills were just ancient.
They didn't put investment into it.
They never modernised at all, you know.
Right.
And nobody should have had, but that's another story. They just didn't modernise, you know. Yeah. It was a very old mill.
That's a shame. And there was up to, I heard there was up to what, maybe 500 workers at ranks at a site.
Well, there would be now in the season, you know.
Yeah.
Over 500, there would be an awful lot of.
So that's a good sized workforce by any standards.
It was a great job. I know you worked in ranks was supposed to be flying, you know.
Yeah.
But we neglected the basic wage, you know. We had a lot of overtime, you know.
Yeah.
Plenty like that. They had a lot of overtime. The basic wage was never great, you know. Never very big.
Yeah.
But it was a great job not to be in ranks. It was a great player, you know. I never remember being unhappy there, like, I loved the job, like, you know.
That's good.
I did everything there, you know. In the floor, cleaning, loading cars and checking, you know.
Right.
Checking loads, everything that could be done, I kind of done it, you know, except executive jobs, of course.
I'll worry about that, Mr. Ron. Did you, of course, in those days, just for a thing of interest, I mean, health and safety wouldn't have been the same as it is now, so it would have been a little bit more, it would have been a little more dangerous at times in certain areas of the factory, yeah?
Oh, because if you broke a leg in ranks, you couldn't stay out of work, you know, you limped down to work, you know.
Right,
you know.
Right.
If you took a finger off, you'd be no one to compensate you. We didn't know about compensation at the time, like, you know.
Right.
I really truly not. Well, my own father had TB, you know, and he was about 6.5 stone weight and he's still going to work. Couldn't stay out of work, like, you know.
Right. So there really was, there was no health and safety or anything like that, or?
No health and safety, but they became very much aware of it later on, and there was in the committee, the health and safety committee, actually, you know.
Right, before the end, but...
before the end, before it closed.
Before it closed.
And we never had ear protection, and the knives, you know, like the army claims now.
Of course,
The knives in the army, in ranks, and the dust on the side, was desperate heart, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
The side of lads, they died all young, you know, all black dust, you know.
Right, it would have been a course from the
season, and we'd had a mess collar, but it wouldn't wear a mask because you'd be shoved and you'd be working hard.
I know, it'd be very hot.
Breathe with the mask, you know.
Yeah, and no one, of course, knew at the time about the.
It was very hard work done now, really, into it, you know.
Right.
And then they just bagged flour. We had to do 480 tons of flour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, just heavy physical work itself. I mean, just on your back and
there was a lot of heavy. There was a lot of hard work doing it.
Yeah.
And then in my father's time, then there was 12-hour shifts. 12-hour shifts automatically, no overtime for it, you know.
Right.
But again, I went in, it was 8-hour shifts, you know, and we were paid for overtime after the 8 hours.
After the 8 hours. So it had improved a little bit since your father's time, but it's still very tough compared to today.
It was tough work, it was no good, it was hard work, you know. Right. But you got to be careless towards the end. You'll hear now people saying, they're close ranks themselves. They feel very strongly about this, you know. A lot of fellas were careless, they didn't work that hard, but there was a lot of great workers there, you know. They pulled their weight, you know.
I'm sure there was. Yeah, I'm sure there was. I know I worked in Dell myself, and
my son
you were talking about the noise level. Because the noise level in Dell was quite bad, even though the conditions weren't as bad as ranks in the sense of, like, you know, the physical labour, but the noise was, you know, even so. Actually, it's very interesting to see that, hear that. So finally, when you finished up in 1984, so you would have been at that stage. You would have been in there over 30 years, 30 full.
30. I'd have been 30 years in June when I closed in.
Right.
They closed in February, March.
And was there any compensation or anything like that when you were let go?
I got about £4,000. They claimed inability to pay, you know.
Right.
They said we were a limited company.
Right.
And they had nothing got to do with us. That's Ranks Hofers McDowell, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So they just, and we fought tooth and nail with the unions to try and get more, you know.
Very good.
We got 2,000 and we got 2,000, this bits and scraps and things, you know.
So eventually around 4,000 in the end that you got that which was for 30 year service is not really a lot of money.
Desperate altogether. People were getting 20,000, 30,000 at other jobs at that stage, you know. 40,000, you know.
Yeah.
All the fellas could have got in the beginning. They went early, and they got what they were entitled to.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah.
But when he closed down, you had no choice. You just
No choice. It was, you were just left out.
You were
left out, indeed. Very good, Mr. Donald. And after that, I mean, did you find work after that? It was very difficult in saying
I got a job with my brother-in-law's doing cigarette machines, cigarette vending, you know.
Right,
selling cigarettes.
Right.
Drug pushing, if you like. You know?
Well. I mean, everybody has to. I was just going to say, very difficult. I mean, because the 1980s are nearly as bad as they are. The times were as bad economically as they are now, and to be kind of left go after 30 years in one job is very tough.
Well, in 1983, I started painting houses and all around the place, you know, down St. Joseph Street. And, you know, I could have very handy wallpaper and walls, you know, for the time. And then my brother-in-law asked me to go into the cigarette game, you know. And I was selling wholesale cigarettes. But eventually we got these cigarette machines. They're still there all over the town now.
Very good.
Very good. Probably look at now, there's one of our machines in it. Like
Right.
So there was that for about 24 years, about 2 years ago I took that in.
And you finally retired. Very good. So you were in a way you were lucky. I suppose you were lucky in a way that you had, that even though you said you enjoyed your time in ranks, but I mean, as I say, you could very easily, at that age in your mid-40s, could have been totally different.
A lot of ranks guys never worked, and they were going on like zombies to me, like, you know, but they managed to survive, you know.
I know, but still, terrible shock to the system after been working for so long.
Those fellas very depressed, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't come out of the blue, you know, it was going to come, you know. Then you think about getting a few bob, £4,000.
Of course,
a lot of money now, But fellas got 20,000, 30,000, went early, you know. But the lads that were at the end, it just shut down. And we just sat in and all and took over the factory. Did you hear about that?
I didn't know. Tell me about that. Yeah, right.
We took over the factory and we sat in a special committee, you know. We wouldn't let them move the wheat. And the wheat was in the bins, and it was stuck in the bins, and we had to try to keep the wheat moving because it was stuck. They'd never get it out, you know.
Right.
So that went on for a few weeks and months, you know. Different shifts, 3 or 4 fellas sitting down with locks in the door, you know.
Right.
We wouldn't allow the bosses in.
Very good. Right. I'd never heard of that. No, that's very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, we did shifts, you know, just I couldn't remember the whole.
So there was a great sense of solidarity in the factory, like, you know, everybody stuck together. That's good. That's good.
I mean, the foreman and all was the same. They were up in the labour exchange, you know, the foreman, you know, and assistant managers and all was. You know, they were up in the day with the same as you and me in the hall, you know, and you couldn't understand it getting the few bob.
Yeah.
You know,
so there was a great camaraderie, really.
There was.
Oh,
I had some lovely foremen. I loved it anyway. I loved drinks, you know. That was flour milling was my blood. Put it like that, you know. All the family we worked there, and the crack there was fantastic.
Right.
Singing songs, they were great cut short of fellas, you know. We had the ranks choir there, you know. That's probably
Did you? Right.
Male voice choir.
Very good.
About 36 of us.
Right. And do concerts around Limerick.
Right, very good.
It was
great, and in the pubs, of course. A lot of pubs singing too. But they were great days then. Really and truly. I loved my job in the cigarette game too, you know. I liked working. I was working since I was 10 years of age.
Right.
I delivered papers before I went to Leamy School. I had Leamy School.
I've heard of Leamy School, right? The famous Leamy School.
That was McCourt team.
Yeah, the course became famous because of Angela's Ashes. Yeah, very famous.
Yeah. I know them very well, you know.
So there was, I mean, it really was a different time, wasn't it? It really was. It was a different time.
It was tough, but I never remember being hungry, you know.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I worked in ranks, but supposed to be up in Visors Field. A lot of dockers up there, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of drinking them too, like, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Them, you know.
Yeah.
They had nothing else to do. Only drink porter and make babies, that's all. So that was all big families at the time, you know.
Well, Mr. O'Donnell, thank you very much. I think that's been a fantastic interview. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay,
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dan.
And hopefully it all came out well on the... I'll stop it now.